The falls had a voice. It wasn't loud, not really, not unless the rains had been heavy, but it was constant. A low, rushing whisper that filled the air around the rocks and trees, like the town itself was trying to say something it never quite finished. Alex Mercer and Ryan Cole had grown up with that sound. That afternoon, the sun filtered through the trees in broken pieces, dappling the rocks with light. The boys were perched above the falls, hidden in a patch of overgrowth they had claimed as their lookout. They were 12, restless, and halfway between childhood and something else. Ryan tossed a pebble into the water below. "Bet I can hit that rock." "You missed," Alex said without looking. "I didn't miss, I adjusted." "That's not how missing works." Ryan smirked, ready with a comeback, then froze. Alex noticed it immediately. "What?" Ryan didn't answer. He just pointed. Down below, near the edge of the falls, a man stood at the water's edge. He wasn't from town. They would have known if he was. He wore a dark jacket despite the heat, his posture stiff, deliberate. At his feet lay something wrapped tightly in a white sheet. Alex leaned forward slightly, heart beginning to thud. "What is he doing?" he whispered. The man didn't hesitate. He dragged the bundle closer to the edge, paused only long enough to glance over his shoulder, then pushed it into the water. The current caught it immediately, pulling the shape into the churning pool below. Ryan's breath caught. "We should go." But Alex couldn't move. The man stood there for another moment, watching the water as if waiting for something. Then he turned and walked away. They didn't speak for a long time, not until the man was gone. "Maybe it's nothing," Ryan said, though his voice betrayed him. "People don't throw nothing into a river wrapped in a sheet," Alex replied. Still, they climbed down, carefully, quietly. The rocks were slick, the water colder than expected. The bundle had snagged against a jutting stone just below the surface, half submerged. It was heavier than they thought. "Pull," Alex said, gripping the fabric. Ryan strained beside him. "I am pulling." Slowly, inch by inch, they dragged it onto the shore. The sheet clung tightly to whatever lay beneath. Alex hesitated. Ryan shook his head. "Don't." But Alex already knew. He reached down and peeled it back. The world tilted. Ryan stumbled backward, hitting the rocks hard. "No, no, no!" It was her, Mrs. Bingham, their fourth-grade teacher. Her face pale, eyes closed, hair tangled with river weeds. Alex's stomach twisted violently. "I'm getting help," he said, already backing away. Then he turned and ran. The town changed after that. Not all at once, but enough. Police came. Questions followed. Search parties combed the area. The story spread beyond the town, then faded just as quickly. Alex and Ryan were questioned separately. "Did you see the man's face?" "No." "Anything distinctive?" "No." It wasn't a lie. Shock had erased the details. Or maybe fear had. The case stalled, and eventually, the world moved on. But not entirely. Every now and then, Alex would catch a feeling, a flicker of unease, like being watched. He'd turn, expecting to see someone. No one ever stood there. Ryan stopped going to the falls altogether. "I'm done with that place," he said once, flat and final. So Alex stayed away too. They grew up, graduated, left. Time, as it always does, softened the edges of memory. Until it didn't. Alex came back after college. The town felt smaller than he remembered, quieter. The falls hadn't changed, the same steady voice, the same restless water. He stood at the edge, staring down into the pool below. And then, it came back. Not as fragments, not as feelings, but whole. The man's posture, The way he turned, the hesitation before he pushed the bundle. Alex's breath caught. "I remember," he whispered. Ryan didn't want to hear it. "Why now?" he asked, pacing his apartment. "Why bring this back?" "Because I remember something new," Alex said. "Something we missed." Ryan shook his head. "Or something you think you remember." Alex stepped closer. "He wasn't just dumping a body. He was making sure it wouldn't be found." Ryan froze. "What do you mean?" "The way he positioned it, the angle. He expected it to go over the falls completely. It got stuck by accident." Ryan's expression shifted. "And if that's true, then he thought he got away with it," Alex finished. Silence stretched between them. Then Ryan exhaled slowly. "Okay," he said. "So what do we do?" They started small. Old records, news clippings, town archives. Mrs. Bingham had no enemies, at least none obvious. She was well-liked, respected. But she had been involved in something. A dispute. Quiet. Buried. School funding. Property. A development project near the falls that had been shut down abruptly. Alex leaned back in his chair. "Follow the money." Ryan nodded. "Always." But they weren't the only ones paying attention. One night, Alex noticed a car idling across the street. The next day, Ryan swore someone had followed him from campus. The past wasn't just waking up. It was watching them. The falls were louder at night. Not just in sound, but in presence. The water didn't whisper anymore. It roared, filling every gap between thoughts, every silence that might otherwise have held doubt. Alex stood at the edge, the damp mist clinging to his jacket. The same place, the same rocks, the same restless current that had carried a secret for years. Ryan shifted beside him, scanning the tree line. "You sure he'll come?" Alex didn't answer right away. "He's been watching us," he finally said. "People like that don't let loose ends walk around." Ryan let out a slow breath. "So we're bait." "More like unfinished business." The wind picked up, rustling the branches overhead. Somewhere in the distance, a twig snapped. Both of them turned. Nothing. Then, a figure stepped from the shadows. Not hurried, not cautious. Certain. "You boys never did learn when to stop digging," the man said, his voice calm. Too calm. He looked older than Alex remembered, but not by much. Time had hardened him, sharpened the edges of his face. His eyes, though, they hadn't changed. Cold. Measuring. Ryan's fists clenched. "We know what you did." The man tilted his head slightly. "Do you?" Alex stepped forward, placing himself just a half step ahead of Ryan. "You pushed her, right here, wrapped in a sheet like she was nothing." A flicker of something crossed the man's face. Not guilt. Annoyance. "She made it complicated," he said. "That land was going to bring money into this town. Jobs. Growth. And she stood in the way with her little petitions and speeches. She was trying to protect the land," Ryan shot back. "She was naive," the man replied flatly, "and stubborn. Dangerous combination." The words hung there, heavier than the mist. Alex's heart pounded, but his voice stayed steady. "So you killed her?" The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped closer, boots scraping against wet stone, the sound almost swallowed by the rushing water. "She slipped," he said at last. Ryan scoffed. "That's not what you told yourself when you wrapped her up." The man's eyes snapped to him. There it was. A crack. Small, but real. "You should have left it alone," the man said again, quieter now, but sharper. Alex took another step forward. "You came back," he said. "After all these years." The man's jaw tightened. "I had business." "No," Alex replied. "You had a loose end." Silence. The wind howled louder, tugging at their clothes. Ryan glanced at Alex briefly, just enough to communicate what they both knew. This wasn't just a confrontation. This was a line. And once crossed, there was no going back. Alex reached slowly into his pocket. The man tensed immediately. "Don't." "It's not what you think," Alex said calmly. He pulled out his phone and held it up. The screen glowed faintly in the dark. "I remembered more than just your face," Alex continued. "I remembered how you moved, how you stood, how you hesitated." The man's eyes flicked to the phone. "And?" he said, though his voice had lost some of its certainty. "And I went back through the records," Alex said. "Old permits, meeting minutes. You weren't just part of the development. You led it." Ryan stepped in. "And when Mrs. Bingham started pushing back publicly, your whole project stalled." The man didn't respond. Didn't need to. It was written all over his face. "You had everything to lose," Alex said quietly. "And she wouldn't back down," Ryan added. Lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating all three of them in stark, unforgiving light. For a split second, the man looked exactly as he had that day years ago, standing over something he wanted gone. "You think you're clever," the man said, his voice tightening, "piecing together scraps like it means something." "It means everything," Alex replied. The man's gaze hardened. "You were just kids," he said. "You saw something you didn't understand." "We understand now," Ryan snapped. That was the moment. The shift. The man moved, fast, decisive, not running, attacking. Alex barely had time to react before the man lunged, knocking the phone from his hand. It skidded across the wet rock, stopping just inches from the edge. Ryan jumped forward, grabbing the man's arm. "Not this time." They struggled, boots slipping, hands grasping for balance. The falls roared louder, as if urging something to end. Alex scrambled to his feet, heart racing. "Ryan, watch your footing!" Too late. Ryan's foot slid on the slick stone, his body tilting dangerously toward the drop. The man wrenched free, stepping back, but not retreating. Watching. Calculating. Alex lunged, grabbing Ryan's jacket and pulling him back just as his heel slipped over the edge. They both hit the ground hard, breath knocked from their lungs. For a moment, everything froze. In the distance, sirens. Faint at first, then it grew louder. The man's head snapped toward the sound. Alex pushed himself up, grabbing his fallen phone. The screen was cracked, but still recording. "You heard that?" Alex said, breathless. "This time, we didn't come alone." The man stared at him. For the first time, real fear. "You think this ends here?" he said. Alex met his gaze. "It already did," he replied. The sirens cut through the night, lights flashing through the trees as officers closed in. The man backed away slowly, eyes darting between them, the falls and the approaching lights. No escape. No shadows left to hide in. The water roared behind him, no longer holding his secret. As the police moved in, the tension broke, not with violence, but with inevitability. Ryan sat up slowly, breathing hard. "That went differently in my head." Alex let out a shaky laugh. "Same." They looked at each other. Really looked. Not as the boys who had once stood frozen in fear, but as the men who had come back and faced it. Behind them, the falls continued their endless rush, but the sound had changed. Not heavier, not darker, just clearer. like something long buried had finally been carried away. By morning, it was over. The truth, long buried beneath water and time, had surfaced. The town would talk again, for a while. Then it would quiet. But this time, something was different. Alex stood at the edge of the falls once more, Ryan beside him. "It's strange," Ryan said, "how something can stay hidden that long." Alex nodded. "Not hidden," he said, "just waiting." The falls whispered below. Not secrets, not anymore. Just the steady sound of something that had finally been heard. If you enjoyed this short story, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.